Hello and welcome to Guitarist TV. My name is Jason J. Rock Houston, and talking once again my good friend, singer guitarist Kelly Deco of the Kelly Deco Band. And I interviewed you the last time, and it was a lot of fun. And so we're doing it again, Kelly. And you were just sharing with me because last time I talked to you, the record had just come, or they were releasing it via, I guess you were just explaining to me, like over social media. Now you're getting to release it on CD and vinyl. So let's talk a little bit about that.
Okay, yeah, it's interesting. The world is so much different than I would have ever thought. I fell into with a lot of really great people all around, whether it's the social media team that I have, or and the producers and everyone around it, all the great promoters, and really, each one seems to be a guru in their own area.
Sure.
And so that was really interesting to watch that go and watch that, how the promotion works, and how it's a big world of things and connections and all the different places where these people are working. It's a young man's game to know how to run all this stuff, and they know it. And there's teams of people who do a great job to make that happen.
Sure.
On the level of just streaming and downloads and all the different tubes and all the different bits and pieces and there's a lot of work that goes into just getting to that point, and time and money, and luckily, our team was a really strong team to begin with. And it's interesting, and right here at the point where the release was released as streaming, and then it was going to be to video, to CD, and then vinyl.
Yeah, that's interesting because typically, like a lot of you don't really know these days, because I can say from my standpoint, as a music fan and also doing these interviews with different bands and musicians, you never really know. A lot of them just we don't have any physical product. We just release, digitally, and that's new for me.
Good luck.
Yeah, I mean, I'm very much like you. Probably we're about the same age. I'm old school guy. I miss the days of going to a record store, Kelly, and checking all the latest releases. I loved, looking at the artwork, like picking up a vinyl and checking out the beautiful artwork. Who played on the album? And it's kind of interesting because even in my interviewing you, this is about the third interview I think I've done with you. The first one was like over the phone. It was kind of like an audio type of interview. We posted that on our site. We got a great response. And then I was really reluctant just because I'm not real tech savvy myself. I got a friend that he kind of encouraged me, hey, you should learn how to do these video types of interviews. They're a lot of fun. And I got to thank him for that, because the last time I interviewed you and this one, we're doing it over a video. And with an artist like you, it makes it a lot of fun. And because, I mean, just looking at you, Kelly, you look like a rock star. We were talking about some of your influences last time, and you look like somebody that was, around in the 70s. We're talking about like David Bowie and Meatloaf for some of your influences, for example.
Ian Hunter.
I hear a lot of that in your music, and so it kind of reminds me of music that I'd be listening to back in the 70s or 80s. It's kind of retro rock, if you will, but I'm loving it.
Well, I'm real, and this is a real connection to that, and I'm living. And a lot of those people are not, but that's all good. I'm just going to keep charging down the road with it. But in the end, this whole thing you're getting at is it's much more complicated. And to think you don't need a record company, it's my opinion that's a mistake.
Yeah.
Because looks like I'm fading out or something weird.
I don't know.
But anyways, maybe the light, who knows what happened. Anyways, but the company that I'm with, that I'm signed to, and thank you very much, Deco Records. Not the same spelling, but great company, a legacy company. Some of the most famous legends of rock are on that label, and I'm
Carly Peace, the Bouchard brothers from Blue Oyster Cult, just to name a few.
No, it's brilliant. It's a perfect fit, and I'm really proud to be in their stable of artists. So they're great because they have that ADA distribution worldwide through Warner Brothers. And, that's a big thing. You can stream all you want everywhere, but you're not going to get a product, out to,
That's the thing. As great as your album is, if nobody knows that it's streaming or nobody knows it's out there, that can be a real huge problem,
Yes, yeah. But
And,
we did pretty good with the streaming team we
yeah,
had, but that's the limit. Once you get to that point, you'll have to stop anyway. So if you're lucky, you'll hook up with a company like Deco.
and you're lucky that you're
by the
working with
way.
a company like Deco, and I know they got a great partnership with your publicist,
Yeah.
Chip
Oh yeah.
to kind of work together.
And Johannes works with them, and he's another great, legend of the time and the era that I'm distantly connected to, and here now to represent in a new way of the same thing, the same mindset, the same feeling, the songs just all came out that way. This was not some kind of science experiment. It just came through me, and it just all came out just like that. And so, just lucky.
Me myself, I've been working with the folks at Chipster PR for years. They put me up with a lot of great musicians to interview. And I mean, just so people know, Kelly Deco, you share the same publicist as Carmine Appice, Judas Priest, Michael Schenker, to name a few. So, fact that a guy like that, like you, can get those kind of people behind you and kind of help spread the word about this, I think is a really huge thing.
I think that they feel the camaraderie, and that they know it's a legitimate. Whatever it is, it's a real thing, and I think they can smell a rat a mile away, but I'm not one. I'm a legitimate heir or connective tissue to that entire generation, and even in the sound of the record and the sound of the songs and what they're saying and what it's about, and the whole vibe is absolutely legitimate. And their stamp of approval is just one more thing.
Again, I gotta tell you, streaming and kind of getting the music out this way, it's such a new thing for me. I mean, it's a couple years old. I get that, but like even when I get prepped for today's interview, I listened to this stuff. I listened to your album before, but I thought I want to go back and listen to some of the songs off the album. So I'm kind of get in the mood, and it's a great way. I love the fact you can go on YouTube and you can check the music out. But I want to say this too. I encourage people, when it comes out on CD or vinyl, go and buy it. Support a great artist like Kelly Deco, because you know what? I think it's a cool way. Like, you can go on YouTube and check it out, but you know what? If you dig it, go and buy it.
Yeah, go to Deco, Deco Records, DECO Entertainment, by the Deco Entertainment, and you'll see Kelly Deco. He's got his own little spot there. And they make these great bundles. Well, they have a bundle of T-shirt and the CD and an autographed signed artwork piece that Johannes and myself have both signed. So it's a great little collectible. And the art is it's just right. It is a flashback into the earlier era, and it's a collectible. And I would say get them now, because when they run out.
So Kelly, let me ask you about that, because I understand some of the vinyl that is going to be coming out. They've got different pieces of art that you design. Were you always into art like that?
Yeah, I'm a scenic artist, literally too. In the movies, I've worked on over 60 feature films, or maybe more. Yeah, I've been around a lot of years. I've worked with a lot of great designers and directors, and I'm legitimately out of the woodwork of Hollywood.
I dig that too, because again, you're so hands-on in your art, your music. I mean, I dig the fact that not just do you record and put out a great album full of music, but you design that album cover. You're so involved. I mean, as opposed to having, and it would be great too to have some other, a hit artist kind of do your album cover. But I love that you're so involved in everything from the album cover to the music.
Yeah, well, thank you. And that's just because it's for me, and that's what makes it really an honest thing, not just, let's just get Steve over here. And when they were talking about Johannes, and I sent him sketches and things, but I am so lucky to have had him do the artwork. It's brilliant, and we all connected on the understanding of what it is we're getting at, what the vibe was, and it fit. And when everyone said, "Yeah, this is great. We get it. This is brilliant. We love it. We're going to do this thing. It's going to be great." And the team.
I don't know if you've ever thought about this, but the fact that you designing the album cover and you're so involved with the artwork and stuff like that. Have you ever thought of holding like any kind of like an art expo of your stuff? And I ask that because there's everybody from Paul Stanley of Kiss to Jason Newsted of Metallica.
That's right.
They also paint and stuff like that on the side, and they have these art exhibits.
Captain Beefheart, the guys from the Stones. Yeah, you know what? I've got a few pieces, and I'm gonna, as I coast into it, put those together. But when art is your life, it's just one more thing you do. I love it that I have been able to make a living doing a quote.
And I think you could hire a great artist to do your design your album cover. But you know what? I think the fact that who's going to represent your album better than you, right? You have a full understanding what the album's about. I'd imagine much better than somebody who just I created this and this is great. Let's put it on your album cover,
Well, in our case, it's just that big, when I say we, I mean me. I was looking for one thing, and I had one thing in my mind and one thing kind of funneling through me, and it was just very lucky that all of the players were some of the best in the industry of that thing I was aiming at, and so when it came together, it all just was like, bam, here it is. And it was like right out of the time that I was kind of like focusing on in my mind.
Yeah, and what I love is I really do feel that you're a songwriter and an artist, that it really comes from the heart.
No, it does. I wouldn't be doing it if this is not something I'm just trying to pull on somebody. A lot of this is painful, and I was surprised that there's a pain that goes with all of this, because it's a true thing you feel, right or wrong, whether it's really great or really not so great or whatever. It's an honest thing, and you put yourself out there with all the honesty you can, and then you live with it. And
when you're talking about pain, does that have anything to do with like even talking about the songwriting, where maybe you wrote a song about something that was not maybe the most happiest of a life experience, but something that was.
There's a lot of that in this record. I went through a lot of things before I wrote this record, and a lot of people close to me, my mother or whatever, died, and relationships, and the life full of that stuff, to where it wasn't until this record. And when I got back together with, I'm back with my high school sweetheart from.
Wow.
Yeah, we live together, and that we're a team now. She's my personal manager too, but also we have a business together, and we're doing great with that. It's a very popular business. We make she makes gourmet pies, and we win every contest she goes into, and we just won the LA KCRW yearly pie contest, which she's won 11 times ribbons from, and so we're not going back there again.
And again, I got to say, I enjoy talking to you this way, doing like a video type interview, because it would be just as much fun, I think, talking to you over the phone, and I can say that because we experienced that. But visually too, like I said, you look like a rock star. In other words, you dress the part. It's more than just talking to a guy. It's more just. That's exactly right. It's more than a guy just in jeans and t-shirt. There's some bands that do that and they're great at it, but
not me.
Like you go the extra mile.
No, this is real. Look.
Yeah.
This is the real thing. Otherwise, I'm not doing it. This is, and that's another part of the pain. I think I was somewhere in a bar with the rest of the guys in the band, and someone came by and said something like, "Oh, I didn't realize it's Halloween," or something. I thought that was funny. I thought, well, at least they got it, because at least
I love Halloween though, Kelly. That's what I love about seeing bands like we mentioned Meatloaf, Bowie, Kiss, Alice Cooper.
Yeah. I love Alice. How can you not love that man?
Alice. I love the fact the man is in his mid-70s and he's still creating new music. He's still out there,
he's still viable.
Yeah. And his newer stuff. What's funny, his newer stuff is as good, if not better, than the classic stuff.
He's good. That's why he's a real thing. It's again, it's not a joke to him or something or whatever. He's got a thing, and I have a thing, and we both are going to keep doing our thing, and that's what makes us happy, and it probably keeps us alive, because without that thing, whatever it is that you do in your life, get a thing and hold on to it. And then also get a girl to hang on to that too, because
then life is that much better. But I know you were talking last time that the producer was a big part of the album, and a very important person that you collaborated with on this. But how do you feel about, like, I imagine you write a lot of his songs, but how do you feel about like bringing in outside writers?
I have written with other people before. It's typically where I will work with someone in some area that they're an expert at, where they'll put one thing and I'll put another thing, and then together we'll make a kind of cohesion. But on these Kelly Deco band records, they're me, because they're all about whatever is going on inside of me, in my psyche and my beliefs. And so when I work with other people, it's usually there's like a band. There was a Deco band for a while, and that was a different thing. Whereas the Kelly Deco band is Kelly Deco, and then a great bunch of musicians that just make it work. And there's so many examples of that.
Sure.
One guy's name, but it's the band that you remember, and the greatness of all the players and producer. And again, the producer, I think you were saying that earlier. It's something people would never think about, because everyone, I think, believes, like in this pie contest, we've won so many times. People don't know how we do it. And I don't know, because I say we, I don't make the pie, but my girlfriend, my fiance, whatever, wife, is she's somehow a magician with this. And people look and they say, how does this person do this every time? Well, because she just can. It's like, how could, people who are great at throwing basketball, they can do it every time. So with a producer, it's the same thing. They can do that thing because they have this gift. And a lot of people think, oh, I can make my records at home. I say, no, you can't. I say, people need to go for unless you are an expert, and maybe you could become one, but don't try to. The people who are great at it.
Yeah, you can, but it's not going to be as good. I mean,
it won't be.
Example, talking about Alice Cooper.
Yeah.
Look at his partnership all these years with Bob Ezrin.
That's right.
I mean, Ezrin is much part of the band as he is a producer. Writer.
Well, that's true, and I would not have agreed with that until I really agree now completely after my last experience, because you like to think you know what you like, and you'll hear it when you do. But that's all great if you're doing grunge rock and stuff. That it's okay that it's grindy, but if you're going to go into a level where you're going to have some sonic longevity, or if that's where you're headed, okay. For me, I was headed directly into that sound, and when I went and met with the man who, quote, invented that sound, I was surprised that how much I didn't know about what really was behind.
I mean, and again, being the big Alice Cooper fan that I am, I mean, what's interesting is, I don't know if you've ever heard the first two Alice Cooper albums, which is like,
yes, of course,
Pretty for You and Easy Action or something like that. And on those two albums, when I listened to them, Alice Cooper almost sounded like a psychedelic band. But by the third album, Love It to Death, which is the first one he ever did with Bob Ezrin, that is where Alice Cooper found his sound. It was like he came to life,
And so if you're lucky and you are around long enough, and someone does happen to get on, or you get on their train or whatever, that's where you realize, okay, this is it. I know I've said this a lot, and I know people who know me are really tired of me saying it probably, but until I met Val and heard that sound, I didn't really have a sound, and now I do. And that's, people really are tired of me saying that, because they think I'm just, whatever, they think out of my mind or whatever. But the truth is, I hear that it fits, and it wasn't because I made it that way. It was because someone else knew what to do with it.
Well, I can tell you, Kelly, I'll be honest with you, until your publicist, last year, reached out to me the very first time to interview you, I had never heard of Kelly Deco. And so I went on your site and did a little research on who you were. And the first thing that I really became aware of you is with this new album, Constellation. And having listened to it, for the very first time when I did, it was like, I'm listening to it with fresh ears. I have no preconceived notion of what came before. And I was loving it. It sounded like a classic rock album from the 70s,
Yes.
and where had just like one or two great songs and then everything else sucked. The whole album seemed like it fit together. These songs were written at the same time. They were meant to be on the same album.
They were, and they are, and that's what the reviews say. So if any of your audiences out there, go check it out. You won't be let down. It's like with the pie shop. I always tell people, it'll be better than you think. And then you think, oh, wow, it really was good after all.
The best thing I can say about that is even prepping for today's interview, I went back last night on YouTube, was checking out some of the songs on the album. Yeah. I was like, got to hear one more, got to hear the next track, it's that good. And you were talking to me, the next step of this is you're going to, once it comes out on CD and vinyl, is hopefully to make a couple of videos. So have you decided like what'll be the first single maybe, or the first video?
Well, interesting things have happened recently where we've started getting airplay in different other countries and different stations, and it's different songs in different places. So
wow, amazing.
So my plan is I'm starting back with the rehearsals and the band, and I've got things in mind already. We're going to be doing little vignettes around town. And I don't want to give it all away, but we'll be doing cool stuff. Yeah. So little clips of teasers of what the video is going to be, and there'll be little live things, live.
I mean that's like Queen, bands back in the 70s, Kiss, Queen, or a couple that came to mind. When they used to go on like TV shows, they make these little promotional clips.
Right.
Because it really predated MTV or anything like that. Yeah. And that's why like Queen has all these great music videos, in their catalog now. Yeah. And so that's fun. It's a new way of doing things. It's kind of interesting that you're saying, different countries, different songs are, popular. Like, Kiss is one of my all-time favorite bands. And on their album in 1980, they had a real big hit in Australia with the song Shandy. It's not a big hit over here, but every time they go to Australia, they got to play that song.
Well, I've experienced a little bit of that, and and what's great about it is, like you were saying, there are so many good songs on the record. It's different people have picked different songs for different reasons.
Yeah, sure.
And then of course they invite me on to hear it or tell me how many days it's playing, and then I get a chance and I realize, well, that sounds great. And then you see the mix. I was really pleased with the mix of things people were mixing with the music, with the Constellation record, and a lot of it was some of the best late 60s, 70s bands, and then they stick. The last one was the song "Creature Dreams," and they said it was their by far best song that they've heard in a long time.
Yeah, and you got to kind of take into consideration different parts of the world are going to react differently. Because I imagine, for example, a place like China or Japan, where a lot of the people don't even speak English, they're listening to this music and just getting off on the beat or something. And
that'll be interesting. Yeah, that'll happen. And maybe I should come back then. We can take a little toll about what place kind of goes like where, because like in Scotland, they like watching the girl, waiting for the girl.
And again, and you don't know why, but it could be a language thing. It could be a culture thing. I mean, different cultures react to different things. I mean, interesting enough, a band like Mr. Big with Billy Sheehan, they've been around for years. They're getting ready to go on their farewell tour, but they have always been a lot bigger in Japan than they have here in America. And they could go. They typically go over like in Japan, like do like 4 or 5 big shows a year. Yeah, they make bank, just because the Japanese love their rock bands.
And they also like to pay the rock bands. Yeah. The attorney I work with, a good friend of mine as well, David Helfand, is with some really big bands, and a lot of those go. They take time and go over to Japan and get the world treatment.
Yeah, I'd like to talk to you now about some of the songs. Now, David Bowie's Brain. I mean, just the title of the track, it kind of tells me, okay, that's his David Bowie influence coming out. It sounds lot like Ziggy Stardust to me. I would say you're channeling your best David Bowie there. Talk a little bit about that song.
Exactly. So yeah, well, David Bowie's brain. Well, what was behind? Everyone talks about. You all know whatever the products of this man's genius. But ever think about here's a guy who wants to get to that point where they understand him or what it is behind David Bowie. And so the song basically says, I'm searching for someone lost in a role in David Bowie's brain, and all the rest is lucid
I mean,
dreams.
what a journey. Can you imagine if you actually could get inside the man's brain and see what he
Well,
was
there's a
thinking?
movie, right?
Yeah.
Being John Malkovich, whatever, you go into this back room and you go into a tunnel, and next thing you know, you're in his brain. And so there's examples, and being a movie person, I took the liberty to walk myself into those places. But these songs all came very fast.
Yeah.
So like I said, all the songs were written music first, and then they're all laid out, and then I just play them, and then the feelings and the words would just come out, and then that's the song.
And I got to ask, was that song written before, while he was still alive, or when he got sick, or after his death?
Before.
Oh, okay, interesting. Yeah.
Because I've always been
a Bowie fan.
Yeah, all these things. If you look at, there's people who've written the stuff down. I've looked at. They've asked me every question you can imagine.
Yeah.
Influences and this and that, and what they have spot up their Kelly Deco channel based on things I like or whatever, things like that. And so they ask in advance.
Yeah.
And so,
I mean, I could hear, besides what we mentioned already, I could hear a little bit, maybe Rod Stewart, the Beatles,
absolutely. Of course,
Eagles, maybe even Tom Petty.
Of course, all of those people, because they are deceased. It wasn't until Tom Petty was not here that I thought it's fair.
Yeah.
There's a certain chord transition that he uses in just about all his songs, which is the Tom Petty.
I mean, they all got it. They all got a certain sound.
They do.
And what's interesting,
they're happy, they're poppy, but they're interesting in different levels. Yeah.
And it's interesting because, like, I typically listen to hard rock or metal, but again, I'll listen to a Tom Petty or a David Bowie or or the Eagles or something like that, or even the Beatles, because what do all these bands that I'm talking about have in common? Great songwriting. Yeah. I mean, and Tom Petty is a great example of that, because
he was
great pop artist, but at the same time, all his songs got great hooks. The words, they stick in your mind. You never forget, like, the hook in any of those songs.
Yeah, you know what? It's not pedestrian. It's not just, oh, this is a stupid song. It's like there's a lot going on, because these are very talented people, and that's why they rose to such.
Like even Bowie and Tom Petty, or even the Eagles, are great examples of that, because some of these guys have passed on, and yet look at the body of work they left. I mean, in that little bit of a lifespan, and 50 or 60 years or whatever their life was, and they said so much.
I agree, and I love it, and you love it, and it is a legacy that still remains, and that legacy.
I think that's what makes a great artist. Is they can reach other people. Like, you don't have to just be a pop fan. Right. I mean, anybody, I think, digs listening to a good song.
Yeah. In all styles. I mean, every band. And it's funny because you could pick the hardest metal band you want in the world, and you find their biggest song will be the love songs. And
then you take a metal band, even like Metallica, one of the most popular metal bands, and the diehard fans, like, look at the Black Album. Oh, they sold out. They cut their hair.
It's just who they are.
Yeah. And then, like, I don't know, but I'd have a problem if I was an artist having a #1 album. I mean, I don't see the crime of that, but that's just me.
Yeah. There's no crime. They can do both. It's whatever comes out of them.
Yeah.
They're artists who, to stop from, they've got to keep moving to the next thing, whatever that might be. I've already written the next 3 records that I'm going to release if they do.
And then another song you just mentioned that I really loved is Creature Dream. That's what I wrote down.
Yeah.
Love the vibe of this song. It makes me feel like I've been transplanted to another planet. Just very relaxing.
It's a great song. Very popular in Germany. That's what I hear. So,
and then
Belgium, I guess.
A really upbeat song that I really loved was dancing at the Fall. Again, it's just kind of a good vibe song, you know.
It's a lot, yeah, you know, yeah, they've all got the thing, like I say, the petty thing, but they're stories about things that seem to be happening.
Even
You
the
know,
songs that are maybe not so maybe happy, but they seem upbeat. They seem nothing to really depress the
right,
listener. Yeah,
right,
yeah,
exactly. But they're real life too, because those are real stories. You know, there's always the look at okay, you know, the Titanic is sinking and the band keeps playing. You're dancing
yeah,
at
yeah,
the
yeah, yeah,
it's all falling apart, but the girls just keep dancing, and that's the
yeah,
truth. I
yeah,
mean, that's anyone that you know has ever seen that with ever. There's so many
yeah.
beautiful women, and they're always dancing no matter what's going on. You're like, look at what's going on. Don't they
I mean,
realize?
that's why I was not a huge fan of the grunge music, but there's a place and time for that, you know. But
Yeah.
that's why like I always love listening to music that's going to make me happy, music that's going to get me in a good mood, you know.
Well, they say this record has what they call sparkle. So I guess that means it's got some happy little bit everywhere.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Sparkly, even though you might be talking about some interesting or strange circumstances, it's still got the sparkle even on those bizarre moments.
Yeah, so obviously, you know, you're really working this album. It's been out about a year now, and you know, you're really just working on this. But are we already thinking about the next album, or at least writing stuff for it?
Yeah, I've already done that. I wanted to do that before this came out,
Yeah,
so I didn't have to stop.
yeah.
And so I just wrote a bunch of records. So if I choose to release them right away, I will, or not, or just keep going. And so I don't want to have to shift gears or shift down or think, oh my God, there's nothing left. It's like, no, there's tons, and it's all very similar. And actually, you know, maybe a little more Roxy music next time.
Oh, yeah, yeah, definitely. That's something to look forward to now. So I guess we touched on this a little bit, but like as far as playing live, I mean, that's something I guess you're working on.
Yeah, right.
Have you talked about like probably do shows of your own? Do you think you'll open for anybody, or is it kind of waiting and seeing?
That's a good question. Typically, I'm under the impression you do some small shows
Uh,
locally, and then you go ahead if you're lucky, you open for a bigger acts and move on from there.
well, Kelly, we wish you luck with the.
Yeah,
What's the official release date for when it's coming out on CD and that? Do you have that just yet?
that CD it'll be out within a week or two.
Oh, great. Okay,
So
so
go to Deco Records and look it up. Buy the bundle before they run out.
yeah,
And yeah, and
and,
also think they're offering free pie or something if you buy the record.
wow. Well, Kelly, I enjoy talking to you again.
Yeah,
So
me
let's
too.
definitely keep in touch, and this will be going up just probably a couple of days, sometime next week. I'll let you know once it posts. Feel free to share it, and you're definitely welcome back anytime, my friend. And if you do have a show coming up around the LA area or really anywhere, you let me know, and we'd love to help spread the word about anything you're involved with. So let's keep in touch, and we'll do it again. I promise.
Thank you very much. I appreciate being on your show. Have a great day.
Anytime. You take care, my friend. Bye bye.
Bye bye.